Hello, welcome back to ADHD Fabrication. We have 2 days to get a whole lot of work done on the Volkswonda, which is a 1991 EF Honda Civic that has a 2.8 liter VR6 out of a 2002 Golf shoehorned into the back of it, making it mid-engine rear-wheel drive. Everything is mounted. The car is currently sitting on its own suspension, but we have a couple of braces that we need to get put in here before we can pull the motor out and do all of the welding. I don't have much time to get done what I want to get done, so I'm gonna get going and let's see if we can get this entire roll cage slash motor mount slash chassis structure tacked in and put in here today. I'd really like to get this motor out so I can get it all welded up. as you can see, we got our rear supports here. We also got those supports in. Brainstorming, getting some ideas how I want to finish that, but that can be later on. None of the stuff I'm going to do to that will be in the way of the motor. And then I've also got an idea for our gusset that'll be down here. Be that orange tape. Essentially, it'll just go from the bottom of this bar to our firewall section thing that I built over there. But now that all of those are figured out, I think it's time to build us some motor mounts and get this thing sitting on something more permanent. In a surprising event, I was grinding down a little lip on the aluminum housing here, and I was not aware, but apparently these are hydraulically filled. I popped the membrane, which means these are going to vibrate more, which that alone isn't a huge deal. It's just annoying. Thought about trying to maybe epoxy the hole that I sanded through it on accident, but I don't think that's going to hold up, and then it's just going to leak oil everywhere anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and drain this. Curious if you can change that. I'd imagine it's probably a part of this rubber bushing. I'll have to research that a bit. I didn't even know these were hydraulically dampened, I'll be honest. I just thought this was solid rubber. So I'll get that drained out, and then we'll continue on. Okay, I got this thing all drained. It's actually kind of cool how these work. Didn't know, or if you care. In here, there's also a cavity. So that cavity was full of fluid, and then there's this diaphragm piece. Just clean my hands. I don't really want to touch. There's this little diaphragm piece that I gutted off of the bottom. So there's just a little bit of air gap in there, so the fluid can go between here and the diaphragm in there as, you know, the pressure and the vibration happens, and it's supposed to give a little bit of extra dampening as it transfers to the vehicle. In our setup, eventually we're probably going to have motor mounts that I just make with super solid bushings anyway, so it'll vibrate a bunch more anyway, but I just thought that's cool how that worked. And for now, I have it completely drained, and we can put it in there and start working on that other motor mount. Alright, I'm fucking giddy with excitement. We have both the motor mounts in. They're both ugly as sin at the moment because the angles were terrible as far as welding. I need this motor out so that I can get all of it ground down and welded nicely. But that's all the major things. The motor is in line. I'll show you my precision measuring instrument here. It's this rod. I take it up against the B-pillar and then I bring it back to the intake and I line up real nice. If you see, that line is pretty damn straight there. Straight enough for a CV axle at the very least.
Everything's looking good in there, and that's all the major things to where we can probably take this motor out. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do a bar that goes from underneath this pedestal, and it'll land somewhere right here on the bottom of this bar. I'm gonna do the same thing from up there to underneath the motor mount. Same with on this side. This is a little bit easier to tell, and I have a piece of tape there. So the bar will go from there to there. I'll do a little bit of triangle bracing in there, and then I'll probably bring one more from the bottom brace over to this platform, closer to that side. There's also a couple of small gusset bars I'm thinking about doing, like just a tiny little one right here because it won't be in the way. Some random things like that. I just need to make sure there's no more bars that clearance of the motor will be an issue for. As long as everything I'm planning to do won't have clearance issues with the motor, then we can drop the motor and subframe and everything out and do the rest of this nice and easy, standing right there where the motor is. This may not have been visually the most eventful video ever, but it's a big step in the right direction. And I would like to get more in this video, but I have other obligations that obligate me to obligate them. So this is it for this episode. Next episode, we should be getting that engine out so we can start doing some major welding. And then maybe 3 or 4 episodes from now, we should be able to rip this thing. I'm getting freaking excited. We gotta like clearance wheels, get a couple more gussets, weld the rest of the things in. Eventually we'll be doing like panels and whatnot, but that's not gonna be until after I get everything running, because then I'll know where wiring and all the tubing and everything needs to be, so then panels won't end up needing to just get cut out. I appreciate you for joining me. Like, subscribe, share this with your grandma and a friend that might think it's cool. Say hello to your dog for me, and remember, don't let your meat loaf.